stream.
We're just about ready, and we've got people coming in. So I know sometimes 5:30 can be hard.
Tracy, are you back to being on campus?
Well, we are, but then we went back to working from home. We decided for the rest of the year, we'll just finish remotely.
Right.
So here we go. Looks like it's 5:30. Oh, and hello, Laura. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome. We're so excited to have you here this evening. We've got a great talk this evening, so we're so happy that you could join in here. My name is Tracy Irby, and I'm the director for TWU, Center for Women Entrepreneurs. For those that don't know, the center was funded by the state legislature in 2015 to help promote women entrepreneurs anywhere in the state of Texas. The Center for Women Entrepreneurs is part of TWU's Jane Nelson Institute for Women's Leadership. The JNIWL is dedicated to preparing women to take on successful roles in business and public service to ensure women have the education to establish careers as successful C-suite executives, the skills for building entrepreneurial businesses, and the framework needed to run for public office. So welcome, everyone. And I'm going to turn this over to Donna Lisa, and let's get this started. So glad you're here.
So good evening, everybody. I'm so excited to see everybody that's been able to hop on. And for those of you that are on our Facebook Live, hey, how are you and welcome. So we are just so honored to have Amber Fletcher from Fletcher's Original Corny Dogs with us tonight. And just from, we try to follow all of our community on social media. And we just have really keyed in on Amber and Fletcher's and what they've really done to kind of pivot during COVID. It's just been a fascinating story to watch. And we're so honored that she is a TWU alumni and that she loves us so much that she was willing to come on tonight and share her story. And I think it's going to be inspirational for everybody. And I hope that everybody's able to take a little something away from tonight with Amber. So Amber, thank you so much for being here this evening.
Thank you for having me. I'm always excited to be involved with Texas Women's. Like you said, it's where I earned my bachelor's in science, and very happy to be here and share the story of Fletcher's in 2020 and what that looked like.
Yeah, that's awesome. And real quick, if you have any questions tonight, we're going to change it up on you a little bit. And our last event for 2020, you're going to send those to Tracy, and Tracy will handle those. So we know that 2020 has been a year of reinvention for many companies, and that includes Fletcher's. Months of planning and events were canceled and put on hold, with an entire country essentially shut down. The future was uncertain for many local businesses, or all local businesses, especially those that relied on events, festivals, and concessions. In March, with all of the events canceled, the Fletcher family, like everyone else in America, quarantined at home, not knowing what the future would hold. So prior to the news regarding the State Fair of Texas canceling in 2020, Amber, there was countless other fairs and festivals and sporting events that were all canceling, it was like a domino effect. So can you tell us kind of what was going on? Kind of what was the reaction with Fletcher's?
Right. Well, I would like to take you back to 2019 when, and part of Fletcher's and growing the company, we did purchase 2 food trailers so that Fletcher's could take corny dogs outside of the state fair and begin doing a lot more events such as festivals and, catering. We do weddings and corporate catering. So we purchased 2 food trucks in 2019. And in most of 2019, we were also looking at events and festivals and other things for 2020 to participate in as part of growing the company. And we had an incredible lineup for 2020. We could not have been more excited and proud that as the third generation, we were really getting out there with the Fletcher name outside of the fair. And we began doing a Women's International Day market in Houston. We were doing the Spring at Silos out at Magnolia. And it was actually the night before Magnolia started that we got word that it had been canceled. We had 12 months of events planned, and essentially in about 5 days, everything went on lockdown. The country shut down. Everyone was scared. We had no idea what was going on. Over the next couple of weeks, just every single event was canceled or postponed. We had no idea what the future was. And we just kind of saw all these events that we had worked so hard to get into just gone. They just went away. And of course, the whole Fletcher family, we were all quarantining at home. We had no idea what was going on. We were trying to be as safe as possible. And I think like most of the country, we were just watching the news, all day, every day, just to see what was happening in the world outside of, our houses. And it was very scary, especially as a business, because, have no business, you have no income, your employees have no income. And we just sat and watched. And, for about a month or two, things were kind of uncertain and pretty scary, like most companies. We didn't know what to do, especially with, the whole safety measures. But we started seeing, a lot of other companies going out and, they were pivoting and they were just kind of recreating. And, we had some discussions among the family about, what could we do to, try and work in the safest way we could. And it was actually really a stroke of luck that we had an officer from a police department contact us and say that they had an anonymous donor that wanted to send us to feed the police just to boost morale during COVID because things were just so crazy. It wasn't really publicized or talked about. It was just something we wanted to go and do. And then it got on Facebook. And then from there, it was like this ripple effect of other police departments wanted to send us out to feed their officers. And now hospitals are calling us wanting to feed their staff in other medical buildings. And I mean, we were just being this influx of emails to go and feed all these first responders. And it was truly incredible. We had to really change the way we did things too, because with COVID, now we have masks, we're, washing our hands more, wearing gloves, sanitation, social distancing, really just trying to put all these new safety precautions in place so that we could do this in a way that is safe for us, safe for the customers or whoever is getting the product. And like we were doing, boosting morale. And it was really fun, magical, scary time for the family involved because we just still didn't know much about COVID. But it was really interesting from those few things. All of a sudden, we're getting calls from neighborhoods wanting to have us come pop up in neighborhoods, and bars and breweries and restaurants and pet stores. All of these people just wanted us to come be involved, with their business or company, because there's something about Fletcher's Corny Dogs. And I don't even think it's as much the Corny Dog. There's something about that was really nostalgic. And I think it just reminded people of something happy. And we needed something happy in 2020. And it's just been an incredible year. And that's all before the fair canceled.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds really, that was just an awesome way that you guys did that, Amber, and how just from one reach out from a police officer kind of sparked this whole new way for Fletchers to start doing business. So can you, did you guys have like a crisis management plan in place prior to all of this? I know this is something that we've been talking about like through our Women Rise. Really, I think this caught everybody kind of off guard.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not
it did. fairs and events, it's Fletcher's, bread and butter. It's what we do. Pop-ups and, feeding the first responders. That was so new to us. We had no crisis plan. The thought of a pandemic was the furthest things from our minds. But now that is something as a family that we have now sat down and talked about. What if we go on lockdown again? What if things get worse? How are we going to handle that? And just having those extra kind of step-by-step precautionary guidelines, following the health department, following the state department, so that we are doing things in the safest way possible. Delivery and catering became really big because, you go from having 10 employees to now you have 3, and it's one person doing the drop off. And so it's really helped us become creative. But it is something we have had to talk about. If this does happen again, how will we kind of manage? And I think having those guidelines in place from the state and the local departments has been obviously helpful because it lets us know what we can and can't do.
Right. So it is like no secret that the State Fair of Texas is a huge, income or revenue piece for you guys. I know you feed a lot of families that work for you during that season. So when the State Fair was canceled, tell us what was that like for you guys?
So when the State Fair canceled, a lot of people said they knew it was going to happen. And so I was like, well, I was in extreme denial because I was still really hoping it was going to happen. And when it canceled, just the family and I had a moment of just, oh my God, what do we do? We cried because, the fair is so much who we are. We've been doing it for almost 80 years. At this point, it's in our blood. It's what we do. It's who we are. And with that piece missing, it was very emotional. We have 200 employees. A lot of them are repeat employees that have been working for us for up to 40 years. And so our next thought is, well, what are our employees going to do? Because they all have families and, they usually count on that year after year. So it was really interesting though, when the fair canceled, we had so much support from the community. People were emailing us just saying, I'm really sorry about the fair. Like, can I buy a t-shirt from you guys? Or would you come to my place of business so that we can have a pop-up together? Let's keep this tradition going, even though the state fair has been canceled. And that first week the fair was canceled, I think we received about 1,000 emails, which took me probably a month to respond to all of them. But the family really had to sit back then and just think, well, I guess we'll just keep doing pop-ups and catering. And then I think it was the day after the fair canceled, we got this email from the publicist that works at Golden Chick, wanting to know if there was an opportunity for us to do a collaboration together. And then that just was an even bigger, we could not have imagined that ever happening. This fast food chain that has over 180 locations wanted to put corny dogs in every single one of them. And so, 2020, we talk about it's the year of blessings and challenges. And it has truly made our company have to really rise to the occasion because we're used to doing the same thing year after year. And we have it down like clockwork on how to do the state fair. And it runs smoothly for the most part because we've been doing it for so long. So between pop-ups and catering and delivery and Golden Chick, this is all uncharted territory. And very proud that the family took those risks because it was very scary to do things that were outside of the norm. We didn't know how the community would take certain things like the catering and delivering and the Golden Chick. And it's really taught us a lot about our own company, that's for sure.
Yeah, I know that it was when I saw that you guys had partnered with Golden Chick, I was like, wow, that's like amazing. Mm-hmm. And so we share a little bit about that partnership and just kind of, some of the, with any partnership, especially with Fletcher's, you guys are a brand. And you're a big brand and you've been working. This is something you guys have had for, like you said, almost 80 years. and now you're partnering with this other company. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. Actually, I had a friend ask me about, a couple of days after we made the announcement, and they said, why did y'all choose Golden Chick? Why not someone else? And I'm like, well, they asked us. Nobody else did. And the more we got to know Golden Chick, really liked just, the folks there that we met. It's a Texas brand. It's really family oriented. We really liked just working with them in the process. So they reached out to us the day after the fair canceled, and we talked about it among the family. We started to have a few meetings with them and just really felt this was a way for Fletcher's to get those people that wanted their Fletcher's corny dog that couldn't get it at the fair. And not just in DFW, but people drive to the fair from Houston and Austin and other parts of Texas. We have people that email us from other states wanting us to ship corny dogs, and this way it made them available also in Oklahoma and Louisiana. And I think, one thing people don't know is we put this whole thing together in about 1 month time, when normally I think Golden Chick spends several good months preparing for a new product rollout. But because of, the short notice of the fair canceling, we just had 1 month. And it was a pretty incredible experience. We made a lot of people very happy, and it was quite the experience. And the biggest thing is it really built our brand recognition, which is one thing Fletcher's was really wanting to do, is grow the company. And in 2020, we were like, we lost all these events, and we thought the whole company was going to be put on hold, or even worse, a lot of companies are just really struggling to make ends meet in 2020. And it just has really increased that brand recognition from us, that we've had people from just all over the country reaching out to us, for different things. And it's been an amazing year despite the challenges.
Yeah, it's amazing. As one door closes, another door opens, and really stepping into. I think that speaks a lot to kind of what we've been trying to share. I think since COVID hit, and we've moved our events online, and really trying to bring in programming centered around just kind of pivoting and how to take your business remote, and those kinds of things. And it's really about being willing to take a risk. It's understanding that what you had planned isn't planned anymore. You've got to pivot. And I know we're probably all so tired of hearing that word, but that's truly what you guys did, right? You had to pivot in order to bring some other things, some other opportunities your way. So maybe some partnerships and stuff that maybe were years down the road are, came to fruition a lot quicker.
Right. Well, I definitely feel like 2020 just kind of helped kind of push that agenda forward for us of, the last couple of years, Fletcher's has been going out and doing more events and festivals, but most of the population still thought Fletcher's was only at the fair. And then when the fair canceled, and with the Golden Chick announcement, it just really pushed that agenda for us outward, that Fletcher's is outside the fair. We do catering and delivery and events. And it was very scary to look ahead and have 12 months of events and, festivals planned. And essentially that was all gone, taken away. It's not going to happen. It was very scary. And so pivot's a good word. I feel like do or die was also another word, because it was either do or die for the company. At least it felt that way. No events, no fair. What is Fletcher's if I'm not going to have people come to my house and get corny dogs. So we have to be somewhere. We have to be invited. And that's another thing people don't know, is that, people are constantly commenting on social media saying, hey, come to my city, come to my town. How come you didn't come to this city? And every event that we have done this year, we have been an invited guest. We have not reached out to anyone and asked to be in that spot. So if there is a city or a town that wants to have us, we're telling, those people, hey, if you know local business, have them reach out. If you want catering, here's our catering form. So it really helped spread that message for us that Fletcher's is outside of the fair. And then the second question people keep asking, are you still going to do pop-ups moving forward? And the answer, is yes. We had planned to do this all along, but 2020 just really helped speed that message up for us.
Yeah, most definitely. Caused a lot of people to do a lot of different things. So Amber, we all know how important like our brand is. And I know Fletcher's, has a very specific brand. Your corn dogs are, all of that is very specific. You guys are very, very meticulous about how those things, how people receive the corny dog. And so can you speak a little bit about how like this partnership, and now you're extending your brand into Golden Chick with people that maybe aren't as familiar with how things are supposed to be. Can you speak a little bit to kind of some of the steps that you took to ensure that they were handing out quality Fletcher's corny dogs?
So Golden Chick has an incredible executive chef, and we worked with the chef for several weeks, just going over the process. Fletcher's has always been a handmade, locally sourced type of product. And so it was really just teaching him our way of doing things. And then, they print out the step by step, and then it goes to the executives and corporate and franchise owners, and then to the managers and to the employees. And it just went down this list. My cousin and my brother and I, we personally worked with maybe about 20 to 30 different people that were going to be then overseeing the others, because, Fletcher's is most Fletcher pop-ups, there's an actual Fletcher there overseeing everything to make sure it's done the Fletcher way. And then kind of handing that off to 187 stores was quite scary and challenging. Were they going to keep up with the process and the quality and the way we do things? Some of them did, and some of them did not, whether they just didn't know any better, they didn't care, some of them were younger. But some of the stores had great product. I went to several that just tasted exactly like what we make, and some not so much. And so those were conversations we had to have with Golden Chick, because we wanted everyone to feel that they were getting a Fletcher's from the fair. And there were pros and cons, but we had a great relationship with them. And I think it did help. We had somebody from, I think it was Corpus Christi, telling us that they went like every week, like the whole promotion, and they wish that they stayed in stores. So it was really fun to get to reach people that wouldn't normally get them.
Yeah, you guys, I think that was an awesome way to continue doing what you're doing in a time when it was, was just very difficult. And I think you brought up a really great point. A lot of it was nostalgia. I mean, people were, even just now today, and, being many months into the pandemic, I think we're all just starving for just a little bit of something fun that we remember, or something nostalgic, or a memory or something. And Fletcher's is one of those things for people. And so I just think it's really great the way you rose to the occasion, and you really stepped out and you took risks, and it paid off. Yeah.
Well, it's not to say the year wasn't without challenges. There were several people that wanted us to come do events that, the health department from that city wasn't giving out permits, or they had restrictions that were just too difficult. So, over the year, there's been a lot of no's, you can't do that, not here, not now. And, they kind of feel like you just got to kind of restart, reinvent. We don't talk about those as much because it's just, not our focus. Our focus is where we're going and what we're doing. But there have been challenges too. So I don't want anyone to think that it was just all, butterflies and unicorns. It was very devastating with the cancellation of the fair for us and the employees, all of the events that we worked so hard to get this year. And now it's, will they come back next year or the year after? Will we get in then? really building relationships. And, there's been a lot of fear and anxiety with the family and our employees just around COVID and being extra careful. Everything gets posted on social media these days. So we're trying to constantly make sure that everything is in order, a specific way, because we want people to feel safe. And so the amount of stress has been a lot higher than normal. So I certainly don't want anyone to think we just walked into 2020 and it was great. It's been very challenging and very stressful. But we like to dress it up nice because we want people to have fun and eat corny dogs and funnel cakes and just remember their childhood or a special moment, and just have fun and a sense of normalcy in 2020 and just not worrying about COVID for at least 5 seconds.
Right, right. So before we leave the partnership kind of area, I just want to ask one last question.
Okay.
And so, I mean, do you think that partnering is something that Fletcher's would look at doing again in the future? Maybe not with Golden Chick or with Golden Chick, or just in general?
Yeah, we do have some other people we've talked with about partnerships and collaborations on the same scale as Golden Chick, bigger, smaller, all across the board. We really want to just kind of see what happens in 2021. There's certain risks we're willing to take and certain risks that we're just not willing to take yet. But we're definitely talking and open to other partnerships and collaborations with other companies.
What would you say is like the biggest lesson that you learned in partnering with another organization?
The biggest lesson, I'm trying to think. I really had to trust Golden Chick that they would take care of something so incredibly special to me. It's not just a corny dog to me. That stick has my last name on it. And when we would get some complaints in, I take them very personally. And Golden Chick just assured us they would handle it. They would speak to the manager, to the employee, to the customer. They give them gift cards. They would do anything they could to make sure that it didn't leave a bad taste in people's mouth, but really had to trust and let go. And in the end, after the promotion, seeing everything, I was very proud of the collaboration. But I definitely had to let go and just trust, which was hard.
Yeah, that's super hard. It's like a child, really. I mean, when you've been, everything that you guys do, you're always, you're, building your brand, and you're sharing this with your customers, and, you're building this community, and now you're handing it off to somebody else and wanting them to treat it the same way that you did. And so I just think that speaks volumes to just kind of, how you guys were willing to take a chance again, really step into that and take a risk, which I think sometimes it's hard for us to do that. It's hard to let go and do that. So, so let's kind of move now or pivot, for lack of a better word. And let's talk about like the drive-in fair. I mean, so the fair as we knew it was no longer going to happen, but then they decided to do the drive-through fair. So talk to us a little bit about that.
So the drive-through fair was a pretty amazing experience. I don't know if you went. So the State Fair of Texas, I think it's been, I hate to be wrong, but I think it's been going on since like 1886. So it's been around for a while. And we have fans, the State Fair has fans and customers that have literally gone every single year, their entire life. For some people, it is the highlight of their year. It's what they do. It's what they love. And same thing for the Fletcher family. And the fair's a nonprofit, and they wanted to have a way to put on something for people that love the fair, want to support the vendors and the agriculture and livestock. And, so they put together this 24-day drive-through. Well, it was on the weekends. So I think it was maybe 16 days total. And it was amazing. You got to actually drive through the middle of Fair Park in your car. I mean, when else do you get to do that? And, you know, you got to stop and get kettle corn and Jack's fries, and you had, you know, Fletcher's and Smoky John's turkey legs, and you got to play a game and hear music and do your picture of big tech. So a lot of effort and thought went into this. And yeah, we're very happy, obviously, to get to be a part of it. Because again, the fair is just something we've always done, and to miss it is just like when they canceled the fair, it truly kind of felt like there was a death in the family, because it's what we've always done. And so this gave us a little piece of that. And again, it was a learning experience for the fair as well as us. And so moving forward into next year, if they have to do it again, I'm sure they've got some lessons learned from this, just as we have, to maybe tweak for next year. But it was a really great experience. I had a lot of positive feedback from friends and customers that went through. And I think everyone enjoyed it. There was, yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's been, the most interesting thing about COVID is just kind of watching how people are innovate and pivot and create new opportunities, in the midst of everything that's going on. And yes, there are businesses that are devastated and end up closing, and bars and restaurants, all of those industries are really suffering. But then also looking around and seeing all of the innovation and the different ways that businesses are recreating and doing things differently in order to continue to serve their customers. So you guys are doing pop-ups and catering and these special events. And so can you speak a little bit about how you guys are handling like the COVID and the social distancing and the masking and those things?
So we have several different ways that we operate. We have 2 food trucks, and then we also have some pop-up tents, and then we can do delivery as well for some larger orders. And one thing that we started doing was kind of having teams. So we have about 3 teams, and we typically will put them all together for an event, like team 1, team 2, team 3. That way we're not mixing employees constantly. We're doing temperature checks, we're encouraging hand washing constantly. Hand sanitizer is everywhere. We make sure that our employees are changing their masks, every half hour, every hour if they can. Social distancing, it's really hard to do inside that trailer. But again, that's one reason why we have a specific team of certain people. So that way, these 3 are around each other all the time, all week. And then these 3 are all around each other, in the other trailer. As far as, our customers, we encourage social distancing. We have signs out. We post it on social media constantly asking people to please social distance. A lot do, and also a lot, don't. I think some people feel comfortable. And so, we have the signs and we try to suggest it. But we also we haven't gotten too involved in like walking up to customers and saying anything, because we just feel they're going to do what they want to do. But we do our best to make sure people know that we are encouraging social distancing. Another thing is that we have, since COVID seems to be getting worse, the past month, it just seems there's been a huge surge. We haven't been scheduling any more pop-ups. We kind of slowed down just a little bit. We're maybe focusing more on like some of the delivery and catering, because it's not drawing people together. But really, I think the biggest thing is just, wearing the mask, washing your hands, try not to let people get too close to you when you're talking, which is hard ordering food. We're doing the best we can. We certainly want to be as safe as we can, because the last thing we would ever want is someone to get sick. And so that's been a stressor as well. But I think they've done really good. I'm really proud of our team.
Yeah, it's definitely been something I think a lot of businesses are really struggling with. So just like as the COVID numbers are starting to increase again, you know, what are you guys, what things or what pieces are you guys putting into place to kind of handle that?
Well, like I said, we're trying to promote more delivery catering just because it involves less staff and it doesn't draw a crowd. We've got a few pop-ups left. I think there's been a decline in the events, I think, due to COVID and the fact that we have probably fed half of Texas by this point this year. But we are kind of looking at the next couple months and trying to, again, reinvent what do we do? COVID seems to be getting bad again. We want to give, I mean, we want to stay in business. So we're really trying to switch our messaging to that catering and delivery just the next couple months to kind of see what's going on with COVID. We might be pulling back from pop-ups just a little bit. And that's kind of where we are right now. It's just kind of waiting and seeing.
Yeah, it's tough. And then with the vaccine coming out, we're not really sure kind of what's going to happen after that. So I'm just curious, Amber, I just have one last question. And so if you could give everyone that's listening right now and everybody that listens later, one piece of advice, what would you give them?
I definitely think it would have to be that sometimes you do have to let go of what you think something is supposed to look like and be like, and embrace something completely new and different. I'm one of those people. I like countdowns. I like lists. I like calendars and checklists and all of that. I like to know what is coming and what is happening. And I don't know if it's just, it makes me feel secure, I guess, but truly letting it go, trusting God, and embracing what's coming, what's happening right now, present moment. What can I do? Doesn't look anything like what I thought I was going to do, but I'm going to try it. Because I think that's what we did this year. We had to let go and embrace and trust God, and it's taken us down a pretty good path. So. And it's not something we've ever done before. I mean, who would have thought Fletcher's would be popping up, at a brewery or a bar or a pet store? We did a pet store in South Lake, which is perfect because it's kind of dogs and corny dogs. But I mean, who would have thought?
Yeah. Elaine says embracing change is scary, but it's so important. And it's interesting that you say that. It was I had the opportunity to attend a digital summit the last couple of days, and the keynote speaker today was Seth Godin. And there were lots of golden nuggets and mic drops in that Q&A. But one of the things that he said is that you grow when you change. And that's the biggest thing I think we need to focus on is in the midst of that change. That's how we grow and become better business owners, better, anything. So change is important. It's scary,
Right.
and the uncertainty, but sometimes we just have to lean in and.
Well, it truly forces you to become creative. I mean, there's, different types of people. You can have controversy and change, and you can sit back and just talk about it, or you can embrace it and go out and do something completely new and different. Being uncomfortable is obviously not comfortable, but it does force you to kind of rise up and step up and do something. And I think that's what we did this year. Plus we saw a need. People love Fletcher's corny dogs and they wanted them. And so we just took our trucks to their neighborhoods. And who would have thought we'd be popping up in neighborhoods? So.
Yeah, lots to look forward in 2021, right? So, Tracy, you're muted.
I guess instead of the ice cream truck now, we'll have the corny dog truck coming through. So we have a few questions here. Elaine did want to know, have you made any branding changes, or do you have that, or do you have that in the future?
Any branding changes?
Yes.
I mean, other than just doing events and operations outside of the state fair, as far as like branding Fletcher's Corny Dogs, we've always been kind of corny, and I think we're gonna stay corny. So,
Okay, great. And then Pushkala wanted to know, how will Fletcher's capitalize on the brand awareness that they are receiving? Moving forward, do you see yourselves as moving into franchise retailing, et cetera, some other area?
So in the 80s and 90s, Fletcher's did have about 80 stores and franchises. That was my father's adventure that he did. This current generation, we have been talking heavily about having a brick and mortar. If 2020 didn't happen, we may have had a brick and mortar. I think it's a little too, I'm not sure that's a risk we're wanting to take right now. Just with, it seems every other day restaurants are closing and opening and then being forced to close or, allowed to open. But yes, I would say that Fletcher's very much would like to have a brick and mortar or retail at some point in the future. Franchise, probably not, simply because we like to be in control of our product. We like a Fletcher to be the one actually, preparing and all of that. So, but I'm hopeful.
Okay, great. I know it's been a lot of change. So how was it for the whole family? I mean, did everybody adapt easily or?
I think it was probably most hard for my mom because she is, she's in her 70s and she still loves to work. And I mean, like, cook. Maybe she doesn't love it, she just does it. But my mom, my brother and I made her stay home. We were like, you're not going out, you're not leaving the house, stay home. And so she had to do most of the computer work, which she doesn't like, I don't think. But it was good. I mean, I think if anything, the family got closer because we all stayed home more. We were all kind of stuck with each other more. And so we really got to talk about what we want and what we want to do. And, I think the whole family is proud at how much we, I think we did over 100 events this year. And so, last year we maybe did 15. So we feel pretty proud at the jump in events that we did.
And who would have thought during COVID or something that it would change as much as it did? Are there more food trucks in your future?
So right now we have the 2. I don't think we're getting another food truck, at least not yet. We do have some other things that we're going to announce, maybe in January, but not yet.
Okay,
great. Donna Lisa has a question.
Amber, share a little bit about some of the process of when you and I were talking and you were sharing about the different cities and how they are getting the health certificate, and some cities were not. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Right. So one of the challenges is, when you do events, you have to get a health permit from whatever city that you are going to be operating or popping up in. It seems every city has a different, regulations and guidelines for you to follow. And so whether we were in Carrollton or Richardson, Louisville, Denton, Dallas, you have to go to the city and you have their list of guidelines, regulations you have to follow. And we did come up to one city that doesn't have, and it's really good to find these things out before you schedule an event, because one city, they don't have a regulation for food trailers. They do for trucks, but not trailers. And we have a trailer. And so we had to actually cancel an event because they don't allow food trailers at all in their city because they just don't have regulations on it yet. They said hopefully next year. But it's definitely important if you have a food truck or any type of vendor business where you do pop-ups and things, to really make sure that you're going to each city, looking at their guidelines, regulations, applying, especially during COVID. Some are on and off again. You know, I know the city of Louisville, they're not doing any permits right now. Some cities are doing permits, but they're offering less of them. You can only do so many. Some of them are not offering them for a few months and then they'll come back. So it has made planning hard. And so you have to just kind of really kind of go with the flow. I mean, if this city allows you to pop up this month, do it, because you may not get to next month. But it's really good to build those relationships with the cities and the health departments too, so that you're kind of aware of what's going on. If that's where you're making your income, is having to go to different cities.
Yeah, that's great. So one last question, Amber. So we all know this has been a stressful time. I mean, it's been stressful. It's been busy. It's been all of those things. Can you share just a little bit? We know how important self-care is. And as entrepreneurs, oftentimes we tend to forget ourselves and forget taking care of ourselves. Can you just share maybe some things that, that you were able to do that kind of helped you, stay, keep your head in the game and to keep your eyes focused?
Yeah, I definitely think with entrepreneurs, when you own your own business, you don't have a 9 to 5 job. It's every second, every minute of every day, especially if, it's your baby and you love it. And I would say that the first 6 months, it's kind of like you're in that fight or flight mode. And, I mean, I was just exhausted because I was trying to make and do everything, because we just didn't know what was going to happen. And I remember I was talking to a friend one day and I was like, the days are going by so fast. I'm just having trouble keeping up. And I was like, I've really got to get back to, just having some quiet time. And I mean, scheduling it in. And so that's one thing I had to do was, in the morning with my coffee, I don't check Facebook or Instagram or my emails. I have at least 15 to 20 minutes of just quiet time, whether it's journaling or devotional, or just sitting and kind of thinking, like, just kind of about just where I am today and just checking in with myself. So I really had to kind of focus on allowing and giving myself some time to just kind of be Amber again, because for about 6 months, it was just so focused on surviving. So I would just say schedule some time to do something, whether it's journaling or going for a walk or getting your nails done, and just in your mind, just try and relax. Because otherwise I feel like that's why we burn out.
Yeah, definitely. Anybody have any questions? Anybody want to pop on?
Well, I was going to ask too. So what do you do now? This would typically be your slow time after the fair. Obviously this year is different. So the self-care part is great, but what are you going to do going forward then? Do you have a lot scheduled already for the coming year, or?
We have an event tomorrow at Petacola Brewing in Dallas. We have 2 events next weekend. We are at Luminova at Globe Life every day until January 3rd. So we have enough to keep us busy until January. We are booking catering into March and April right now, but we don't have events and festivals because we're just not sure if events and festivals will happen. I would say that I'm very happy the last few weeks. Things have calmed down a little bit more. I've been watching my Hallmark movies and I've got to get back and bake a little, which I really enjoy doing that I didn't have time for. So not only self-care, but I'm getting to do some things I enjoy. But our messaging right now with Facebook is we've got these holiday events that we're focused on. And as soon as the holiday wraps up, then we're going to kick up our catering and delivery messaging. Again, it's a really easy, safe way for us to work and provide horny dogs, funnel cakes, curly fries to people without there being too many people. So you'll see soon the messaging is going to switch to catering and delivery, because we found it's very beneficial. And again, it really helps with the social distancing.
Right.
Amber, I'm Elaine, and I also have a nonprofit. So from that standpoint, do you work, obviously you work with the Texas Fair as a nonprofit, but do you work with other nonprofits to do joint events?
Yeah, we've worked with other nonprofits. There's like what specifically?
Well, with your pop-up events and your catering, obviously, you know, if we found a way to, you know, do a joint pop-up somewhere
Yeah.
where we
Yeah.
can encourage people to come and we could discuss maybe, you know, doing it as a fundraiser or something.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you're welcome to email me. You can do info@fletcherscornydogs.com. I'm typically the one answering those emails, or it's my mother. Yeah, you're welcome to send us an email and we'll talk about it. But we do pop up with just all kinds of folks, businesses, nonprofits, all over the board. In fact, this Saturday we're feeding the Dallas Police Department again, but I think we're feeding the volunteers. And so there's just a lot of different things that we're really lucky to be involved in.
Thank you.
Right. Walter, did you have a question?
Actually, I was going to extend an invitation if Amber is open to it. I actually have a Zoom show. I actually sell promotional products. And since COVID ramped up back in March, I've been running my show since March. And I'm close to my 100th episode and would love to have Amber on if she would be open to it.
Yeah, again, you're just please email me at info@fletcherscornydogs.com. That way we can have a conversation through email and talk about what it is that your show is.
Sounds great. I certainly appreciate it.
Thanks.
Well, Amber, I have got to ask about your branding, the advertising, everything around the fair. I mean, we see you on TV, I mean, everywhere. What do you attribute that great amount of exposure?
Well, we have, you know, a really neat brand, and I've never been able to explain or understand why people love our brand so much. I don't know if it's just that nostalgic part, but we last year hired a marketing and advertising company. It's Gangway Advertising. My publicist is Cynthia Smoot and her husband that does our social media. They are an amazing team. I remember the first time we worked with Cynthia, it was at the Big Texas Choice Awards. And she is like on the ground, on her knees, getting pictures to get that perfect angle. And I was like, this woman is amazing. Like, she fights for our brand. This is the kind of person you want if you ever have a publicist or an advertising company. You want someone that absolutely loves your brand and is willing to just go out and fight for your brand and make it the best. So we have a great marketing company. And I think it's just, I think it was kind of a collision of two things. You know, people really wanted nostalgia and normalcy in 2020 because of COVID. And it also was the first time that Fletcher's had a marketing and advertising company that was pushing that messaging that we were outside the fair. And so it was, I think it was just perfect timing. I think it was meant to happen for our company just to really get our name out there. And we try to make it fun. You know, I know a lot of brands, you know, just everyone's got their angle. We like being corny and having fun and eating corny dogs and making jokes, and people we just want to just escape and relax and just have fun. So.
Okay. So is that where the ketchup mustard comes from?
That has always been a very serious debate since 1994, because that was the first year we introduced ketchup. From 1942 to 94, there was no ketchup, but enough people kept asking for it. So I guess we finally decided to allow ketchup, and it has been a debate ever since, and ketchup loses every time.
Okay, now we know. This is another important question. How often does your family have corny dogs for dinner?
Too much. So Fletcher's is really big on quality. And so we personally eat corny dogs at pretty much every pop-up. It's dangerous how many we eat, I think. What happens is we want quality control. So we go and we have a corny dog. We want to look at it and have a bite, make sure it's the right taste and texture and all those things. And I know this is the company that, it's our family business, but I also I can't stop eating them. Once I start and have one bite, I can't stop. And so all of us end up eating way too many. And I've definitely had more this year than I've ever had, I think, in my life combined. But I think we have a great product. And I never thought I'd eat so many corny dogs before, but I did this year.
That's great. So over the years, the corny dog has changed some, and you have some, different versions, right?
Yeah. So we've been using Syracuse sausage in Ponder, Texas since probably the early 2000s. Local source beef and pork. It's a really great hot dog. There's no fillers, byproducts. There's no mystery meat. It's what they call full muscle meat. It's just a meat, spices, and some preservatives to keep it fresh. Which is why I always use that to tell people, that's why they cost $6, because this is really good meat that we're using. It's not, mystery meat or low shelf meat. Our corn mix, our corny dog mix batter, that recipe has never changed. But over the years, we started to add new products. In 2004, I think we added the jalapeno and cheese corny dog that my dad wanted to do because he likes spicy, and it's my favorite. Then we added the turkey, what we call the bird dog, to add something a little bit healthier or an option for people that can't eat beef or pork. And I got my degree, Texas Women's in health science, and there was a huge market for vegetarians and vegans that wanted corny dogs. And after a couple of years, I went to Whole Foods. I bought like 8 different vegan kinds of hot dogs. And we just started testing all of them until we found one that was just really close to our product and tasted really good. And then we added the cheesy pup a couple of years later, which is just all cheese, just American cheese melted, dipped in our batter and fried. It's amazing. We've played around with a lot of other ideas. It's just in our business, we have to execute it really fast. If something's got toppings or you have to do something to it, we already have lines and I don't want to hold people up any longer. We have some ideas for things that we might roll out in 2021. And we do the funnel cakes, which a lot of people might not know. I started cooking funnel cakes when I was 10 years old. And last year, I think, was when we introduced them to the pop-ups and festivals and things. They've been a big hit. I don't know who doesn't love funnel cakes. We also have the curly fries and lemonade. We do at pop-ups, catering, and delivery and things as well. And it's been really great, adding new foods and talking about what we might have for next year, and hopefully something will stick.
So Amber, we did have a question from Facebook. They were wanting to know if there's a possibility at some point that there would be like a keto friendly or carb friendly corn dog that would be unveiled.
I mean, I can always just stick a hot dog in the fryer and not put batter on it. And it can be like a naked dog if somebody ever wants that. As far as the batter going, that's not something that we have talked about. We try not to change we don't really want to change the batter too much. I know we've had a lot of people ask for gluten-free and things as well. But they're always welcome to come have a batter or a dog without the batter. But that's something to think about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, Tracy.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions? It's always so much fun to have you here, Amber, and we love hearing about everything. I mean, it is so awesome what your family has done this year and the changes that you had to make in such a time of uncertainty. I remember when you guys first got the trailer or the truck, and it's like, wow, I'm so happy that you guys did that really helped, Yeah,
Well,
very.
I remember the first time I talked with Texas Women's, I kind of just gave, a history of the company. And then I listed all these things that I want to do next. And that was 2019. And then I thought about, you know, some of those things didn't happen because again, everything got erased, but like how far the company's come just since last year when we had, that first seminar.
Oh, oh,
I wouldn't have thought this much.
I know it's been awesome. Well, there are a lot of new people here. Could you just kind of tell the family history and how you guys came to make the Corny Dog?
Sure. So there's like a long and a short version. I'll try and do the one in the middle. So my grandfather, Neil Fletcher, he was the youngest of 8 siblings. It was said that he began playing in bars and saloons when he was 5 years old in Missouri to help make a living for his family. And from then on until his 30s, he was really involved in vaudeville and performing and acting along with his wife and brother. And then that's when they ended up coming to Dallas, and they were in a show at the State Fair of Texas in 1937 and 38. They were performing a show called The Drunkard at the fair. And at this point in the late 30s, it was kind of the end of vaudeville. And the brothers were offered an opportunity to take over a food booth at the State Fair of Texas. And, being in acting in vaudeville their whole life, I'm not sure if they knew much about food or baking or whatever, but the story goes is that they had a dish they liked that was baked in ears of corn, and it was some type of cornbread and meat product, but it was baked. It took 30 minutes. You sit down, knife and fork to eat it, and that they just had the idea to develop a batter that adheres to the dog. If you ever see us cooking, our corn batter really sticks onto our hot dogs. It's not falling off. It took them years to develop the batter, but they got the right batter and a hot dog. And I think they originally started frying with lard. And then they moved to what they call salad oil, which I'm guessing is vegetable oil. But so they had this idea for a fried hot dog on a stick. They introduced it at the State Fair of Texas in 1942. People didn't know what it was. They had to give them away in little like hors d'oeuvre bite-sized pieces. And said people always came back. That first year in 17 days, they did $8,000, which would be equivalent to $123,000 today for a product no one had ever seen or heard of. And from then on, it was just 78 years of just one generation after the next coming in, kind of putting their own little spin and flair on things. But family owned and operated business, true and true, started by my grandfather, and then my father ran it and passed it along to my brother and I and my cousins involved. And it's just been 80 years of family business.
That is so awesome. I love this story too, how it started. We have another question. What advice do you have for aspiring entrepreneurs, or especially some of our students?
I think it's to be happy. What are you passionate about? What do you want to do? Like if you could do anything and money didn't matter, what is it that you want to do? And also thinking about advice I got one day is find a problem and come up with a solution for it. And if you can combine that, if you can solve somebody's problem by doing something, developing a product or something. But really, I think it's just money aside, what do you want to do? What are you passionate about? And how can you move towards that goal or passion? Even if it's just 1% or one step, whether it's coming up with just an idea, a product, an Instagram page, are you passionate about baking? How can you move that forward? Or if you want to make jewelry, a friend of mine loves making jewelry. She ended up making a business. I think she has 40,000 followers on Instagram now, and it's just these little blessing bracelets. So just really go after something you're passionate about and just take baby steps towards it. It doesn't have to all be at once.
Great. There's another question. Are you preparing the next generation to be the successor?
Well, considering my brother and I have just kind of taken over the last 4 years, I'm enjoying it. I do have my cousin has some children, and so we have been really pouring in blessings on them and raising them up. But my brother and I don't have kids, and so there's not really much there to do to prepare. But I'm enjoying it. I plan on working until I'm about 70. So after that, I'm not really sure, but at least my cousin's got a few kids to kind of carry on the family tradition.
Great. Well, we hope so, because we all love Fletcher so much. So thank you very much. All right, guys, last chance. Anybody else have any questions? All right. Well, Amber, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to have you here. And I'm just so happy that everything turned out as well as it did in this crazy year.
Thank you so much. Like I said, it didn't come easily. It wasn't all just perfect. There was a lot of stress, strife, challenges, tears, but we made it.
And that's the important part. So we're all excited too. So we'll be listening in January.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I always appreciate y'all.
Thanks, Amber.
Good night, everyone. This was our last event for 2020. So thank you for giving us a great way to go out, Amber.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Yes. Good night. Bye, Laura. It was good to
Good
see
night.
you. Thanks for joining, Pushkala.
Thanks so much for all that you do.
Oh, thank you. I see you there, Doug.
Hey there, how are you?
Good. I had sent you a chat. Good to see you here.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting us to be a part of it. And also thank you for the introduction to Amber. And we're going to have a conversation with her shortly.
No, great. I am glad. Well, we enjoy you guys too. So we
Well,
look
thank
forward.
you. You guys are tremendous, and look forward to working with you